Hey everyone, how's it going? So, what am I working on now? Well, I am actually taking this idiot that's tailgating me. Actually, that's my Saturn. I'm just taking it to the shop because I need to work on it there. I got to replace the steering shaft, and it's kind of a pain in the neck to get to. It'll be just much easier on a lift for me with my back issues and stuff like that. I'd just rather do that. So, I know it's kind of cheating compared to most people that have to do this stuff in their driveway. But if I didn't have a choice on a lift, I would be doing it in my driveway. But since I can use a lift, I may as well do it. So you guys apparently like a lot of my stories, so I figured I'd fill your heads with a couple more stories. Now, in the story about the Duster that I drove back, the one that was bent like a pretzel, the one I drove back from Lake Peekskill down to White Plains for about a 45-minute ride, it was basically crab walking the whole way. Some of you, I think, misunderstood and thought I was eluding the police, which I wasn't. I was eluding a guy in a Porsche. But whatever. I mean, have I eluded the police? Well, maybe. One time, like my very first car that was like my reliable everyday car was a 78 Dodge Omni. It was my parents' car. I wound up inheriting that. And in all honesty, it was not the greatest car in the world, but it was a 4-speed manual, and it was my daily back and forth to workmobile, or school actually. I also had my 69 Javelin, but that was on jack stands more than anything else. So one day when I'm heading over to my friend Ed's house, you heard me mention him before, I was heading over to his house, and there's this one section of road to North Street in White Plains. If you were going from Westchester Avenue to the high school and you would turn onto North Street, there was an exit ramp. But now North Street also cut down, so there was like a big triangle island off to the left-hand side as you were going to merge onto North Street. And of course, I always drive fast. I always have. I don't drive recklessly, but I do drive fast. So I was driving fast, and I could see at the other end of that triangular island was a White Plains police officer who was basically coming up Westchester Avenue. So I'm going down this extension road, and I'm booking it. And I'm heading over to Ed's house. So I'm booking it, and I'm going, and I see him. I'm like, oh, shoot, I know he sees me. So I just said to heck with it, and I downshifted it, and I nailed it. So at that point, you would be passing what was called St. Agnes Hospital, and it goes up a hill. So sure enough, I see him throw his lights on just as I'm getting to the top of the hill, because now he's at the bottom of the hill. And like the road crested and turned to the left where he was, and my end, not crested, but just turned to the left. And where I was at a point of where it crests onto North Street. I was probably, I don't know, going 75 or 80 at that point in time. And it's like a 45 mile an hour zone. So I crested the hill. There's a traffic light there, and there was cars at the traffic light. So I'm like, oh, I'm doomed. But now the light just turns green as I'm coming up on it. So I'm like, oh, thank you. So the light turns green. It's 2 lanes. I go, and I get about 3 cars up, and I merge over. I immediately merge over, so I get into traffic. So, I know we got a reflection here from the sun. So then I merge over. So now I'm like the 4th car up out of 6. So I see the police officer pull up, and you could see the road clearly ahead of you, and there was no cars. So I see him pull up to the first car, and he's got his lights on. He pulls up to the first car, and he pulls up to the second car. And as he gets to the third car, I can actually see in my rearview mirror, and I can see him look over and look at the driver. Then he gets to my car. He pulls up next to me. He looks over at me, and I just look over at him like, hey, what's up? So, and then he pulled up to the car in front, and then the car in front. He couldn't recognize which car it was that he was going after, luckily. So we get up to the next traffic light. He kind of stops, because you could make a left or a right. If you made a left, you'd go to White Plains High School. So I was actually going to make a right at that light regardless. So I'm We get up to the traffic light. He comes to a dead stop, and it's a green light. But he comes to a dead stop, and of course nobody knows what to do because he's at a stop at an intersection. Like, is there something going on? So then he winds up making a left, and then everybody started going again, and I made a right, and I was just like, whew! Got away from that one. That same car, my buddy Ed and I, one night we were just driving around, and I came up on another buddy of mine who had an old, like, Delta 88 or something like that, like a 73, 74, something like that. I honestly, I don't even remember his name at this point in time. He was a high school friend. But I came up on his car, but it was a pretty distinct car for the time. So it's like, you knew, like, I knew who it was. So I started following him. Ed and I were just kind of laughing because I'm following him. Like, and, you know, you could tell he's starting to be like, who the heck is this person that's following me? So, you know, all of a sudden he starts speeding up like he's trying to get away from me. And so we're going and going and going, and like he still doesn't know who it is. So finally we get to a point where he goes down this road, and I was like, oh shoot, this is a dead end. He's going to turn around. So I yank up on the parking brake, and I whip the car around, and he is now at the end of the end of the road. So he hooks a U-turn with this big old Delta 88. Now he's chasing me, and he still can't figure out who it is. So we're going along, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to take him on Buckout Road. Now, I don't know if people know what Buckout Road is, but they actually made a movie about Buckout Road. It was considered haunted and all sorts of weird stuff. It was a very strange backwoods road. And there was one point on that road where it goes up and then drops down real quick, and you could get airborne off of it. And so the guy in the Delta 88, I was like, I'm going to lose him because I know he knows he can't go as fast as I can on this road. And there was a lot of twists and turns and stuff in that. So I hit that whoop-de-doo like that. And all I remember is going, woo! And you could just about hear, you know, like in our ears, like, oh, we're Dukes of Hazzarding this. But we were up in the air, and all of a sudden the car starts to nosedive as it's coming down. And then all of a sudden it slams into the ground. And I'm telling you, it slammed into the ground. And as soon as it slammed into the ground, the oil light comes on. And I'm like, uh-oh. So I pull over. All right, fun and games are over. So my buddy, the guy in the Delta 88, like I said, I wish I remembered what his name was. I want to say it was Sal, but I'm not positive. He comes up, and then he realizes who it is. He realizes it's me and Ed. So he's like, man, he goes, I didn't know what was going on. I was scared, blah, 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 blah. But there's oil all over the place. Tore the oil pan almost off the car. It smashed it. And on those, they actually had Volkswagen 1.7 liters in those Dodge Omnis. So the oil pickup on that engine was actually an aluminum pickup. So it was a cast aluminum piece that went down into the bottom of the pan. It snapped right off. So it's like, great, what do we do now? So Sal gave us a ride back to my house because Ed's car was at my house. So we left my car there, and then what we did was we just basically, you know, rope towed or chain towed, whatever you want to call it, my car back to my house. And if I'm not mistaken, the next day was actually my birthday. So I stayed home from school because it was a school day, and I always took my day off, or my birthday off from school. So I go and I take it apart. Ed decided to take the day off from school, and as a birthday present to me, he went down to the local junkyard and found a Volkswagen Rabbit that had a 1.7 in it, and stole the oil pan in the pickup. Not stole it, he bought it. The oil pan in the pickup off of that engine. So I was able to put it into my vehicle and got my car back up and running again. So it was, it was kind of an adventure. Another time, I somehow wound up, and I don't remember the scenario behind it, I somehow wound up with an 82 Cavalier station wagon with a 4-speed manual. Everything I owned seemed to come with a 4-speed. I don't know how I managed it, but everything I owned seemed to come with a 4-speed or a 5-speed, but mostly 4-speeds. I wound up with this Cavalier, and it was a 4-speed, and it was a beater. I mean, it was an absolute beater. But Ed and I were driving late at night, and there used to be these, in Mount Kisco, New York, there used to be this farmland, and people would go off-roading on this farmland. I don't know who owned it. I don't know anything about it. I'm just trying to get rid of the glare. The reflection. There we go. So everybody used to go four-wheeling on this guy's property. And I guess he didn't have a problem with it because nobody ever came to tell us what we couldn't do it. And there was tracks, like people didn't destroy it, but you could see where people had driven through it. And I remember a few people that I knew had actually gotten stuck, and tow trucks would go in there and tow them out. But so there was never a problem with it. Like there was never any no trespassing signs, stuff like that. So this is like, I can't remember what time it was, but it was dark. So it was probably like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. It was the middle of winter. It was like 3 degrees outside. And Ed and I, we were in our jeans, our sneakers, and then we had like the leather jackets. Hey, we were 80s kids, heavy metal. So we had the leather jackets with the belt buckle and, the chains and stuff like that. So we had those on, and they were never like really long in the back. So we're field running the Cavalier. So I was like, all right, take this path, take this trail. And there was this one point where somebody had made a dirt ramp to go over a fieldstone wall. So going over the fieldstone wall, Ed kind of panicked a little bit. And basically, if you hit the wall just right, you could jump onto a dirt road that was on the other side of the fieldstone wall, like an actual dirt road, not like pathways made through the field. Ed kind of panicked a little bit because he didn't know what to expect, and I had done it before. But he panicked a little bit, and like at the last second, he slowed down too much. So he hit that, and when we came down, we hit the rock wall. We hit the rock wall and tore the oil pan clear off the Cavalier, okay? So now, like, the oil pan is actually just dangling there by a couple of pieces of metal. Oil everywhere, and it was just like, oh, great, what do we do now? We are miles away from everything. I mean, miles away from everything. Probably 8 miles or better. And there are no houses around. There's nothing around. And it's, like I said, it was unbelievably cold. That was like 5 degrees, whatever it was, 3 degrees, 5 degrees, 8 degrees. It was below 10 degrees. It was freezing. So I'm like, all right, well, you drive. And he's like, you want to drive this? I said, yeah, I don't want to be here. I don't want to get stuck. I said, just don't rev it up. Go as fast as you can at as low an RPM as you can, and let's get out of here. So we start going down the road, and he's lugging it in 4th gear, and he's got it maybe at like 1,500 RPM, kind of like that sweet spot. So we're cruising along, just going, and then you could feel it losing power. And then all of a sudden he's like, it's like, okay, it still has momentum behind it. So he jabs the clutch, and as soon as he jabs the clutch, you hear the engine go, it came to a stop. So we're coasting as far as we could. So finally, we get to a point where we can't coast anymore. So it's like, all right, we knew there was a bowling alley nearby, probably about 1.5 miles down the road. So we start walking, and of course we are freezing our butts off. As we're walking, somebody pulls up, because I guess they saw the car, because we actually made it almost to the roadway. So they saw the car with the hood open, and they're like, you guys need a ride? Yeah, can you bring us to the bowling alley? Sure. So the guy brings us to the bowling alley. I don't know who it was, but, thankfully he did. Brings us to the bowling alley, and I made a phone call to somebody, I don't know who, or Ed did, I don't remember. And, we wound up getting somebody to come pick us up. And we got home, and then I called one of my friends that had a tow truck at the time, and I had him tow it back because I was curious if it was, fixable. Of course, I'm 18 years old, and I'm thinking I can fix anything. So I remember getting it in the shop, and I removed the remainders of the oil pan, and the motor's locked solid. So I start loosening up rod caps and main caps to see if I can get it turning over. And my boss is staring at me, and he's just like, "What are you doing?" I was like, I need the car. I have to have the car. He's like, just stop. He goes, forget about it. It's done for. You ain't fixing that. So I was like, yeah, but I really need the car. And he goes, I'll tell you what. He goes, my Dodge Coronet? He had a 73 Dodge Coronet sitting behind the building. And it wasn't in bad shape, except the driver's side rear door was caved in. Somebody nailed it in the parking lot. he goes, if you need a car, you can have that one. He goes, I have no use for it. He goes, I was going to junk it. He goes, but it runs good. It runs and drives fine. He goes, I think it needs brakes. So I'm like, all right. So he gave me the car, and I wound up with this 73 Coronet. And let me tell you what, that was a fun car to drive. It was a fun car because I could beat the snot out of that thing. And it just kept going and going and going and going and going. And one night with that car, it was myself and Ed and somebody else was with us. I don't remember. And we pulled into this one industrial place, and I started doing donuts in the parking lot. So I'm doing donuts with this thing, and donuts and donuts and donuts and donuts. I kept doing it. And then the oil light comes on. I didn't really care at that point in time. I was having fun doing donuts. So we kept doing donuts. And then finally, and I'm like, my foot was to the floor. So finally, I stopped. Now, when I say my foot to the floor, the engine wouldn't rev any higher because it was valve floating. So it was probably around 5,500 RPM the whole time. And it was a 318 two-barrel. So I'm doing all of these donuts, and I finally stop, and I go to leave, and all I hear is the engine, every lifter in that engine was tapping. So I'm like, oh. And oil light wouldn't go out. All right, so we shut it down. I checked the oil. Oil level is fine. Okay. So, so then at that point, I was like, well, I'm driving home, I guess, just like this. Drove it all the way home. It chattered and clattered and made all sorts of noise. And I was just like, oh, well, I guess I did this one in. And the next morning, I got up to go to work. I started up and went, and got quiet. Never tapped again. So I must have just foamed the oil, and the foam just didn't or the air bubbles in it, just didn't settle. And that's the only thing I could think of. But I kept driving that thing for a while. Like I said, it was a great car. And, during the winter, it's like I could hit things. I didn't care. I would spin the thing around. I hit guardrails with it a couple of times. Ed and I used to have winter beaters, and this is one of my winter beaters. And going down the road, don't tell anybody. But going down the road, we would, do the side-by-side smash into each other like you used to see in the old movies where they're trying to knock somebody off the road. We weren't trying to knock each other off the road, but we were just smashing into each other going down the road. Hey, Mom, if you're watching this, yes, this is what I did. So, anyway, that's about it. I just thought I'd share that with you. A couple of little fun stories. I hope you guys have a great day. I got to get that thing in the shop once I get there. Ooh, sorry. I got to take a look. It needs a steering shaft. It needs a bunch of stuff. It's been sitting for a long time. That was my daughter's car, but it's got low mileage. I think I've explained all this before. But anyway, that's about it. All right, guys. I hope you have a great day. Keep wrenching.